Well, it finally happened. The Texas Democrats ended up back in Texas, and the redistricting map is about to be redrawn. But of course, we know it can't end there. There's not enough fireworks for the Democrats after all. Why should we be allowed to gerrymander our state? They've only gerrymandered theirs for forever. Hypocrisy on the left knows no bounds. For those of you who haven't been following, let me give you a real quick sum up before we get into the meat of what I wanted to talk about today. So, going back all the way into the Bill Clinton years, yes, that far back, way back in the 1990s, boy, don't I feel old saying that. The Democrats, specifically in California, New York, and Illinois, began gerrymandering their state. At first it was just a little bit, and then it accelerated, and then it broke out beyond those states and others. And what was their excuse? What was their reason? The reason was it was to amplify minority voices. In other words, minorities vote for Democrats. Therefore, in order to amplify minority voices, we have to put more Democrats in Congress. So, we're going to gerrymander and redistrict these maps so that we have more Democrats in Congress, because more Democrats equals more minority representation. Let's put aside the absurdity of that entire farce for a second, because that's probably one of the most insulting and disingenuous arguments that somebody could make. Let's look at this. In classic politics, you have districts that change a little bit based on population. We shave a little piece off of here and move it into here so that we end up with the same number of people in this district as we have in this district, so that each person gets an equal representation. You know, there's 10,000 people in this district and they get one representative. There's 10,000 people in this district and they get one representative. That's the idea behind this, is to keep an equal number of representatives per so many people in the population base. Unfortunately, they stopped doing it that way, and they started cutting the maps kind of funky. Well, we know this neighborhood votes this way and this neighborhood votes this way, so if we cut in this neighborhood over here and piece in that one over there, then we can ensure that this voting bloc votes Democrat every single election, and there's no way a Republican will ever win. In 2023, not in the 90s, in 2023, the state of Illinois cut 14 Republican seats out of the House. 14. And they're mad at Texas over 5. Now, that doesn't include all the ones done in California, all the ones done in New York. You see, the Democrats created this political construct that attempted to tell you that they were bigger than they were, that they were more popular than they were, that they were somehow this great big political juggernaut, when really they represented slightly less than half the country, maybe even less than that, as it's bounced around a little bit. But it was all kabuki theater designed to make you believe that the Democrats were this unstoppable political force, when the reality is they were only that way because they had rigged the game. So now you have the Republicans saying, okay, well, two can play at this game. We're gonna start doing this ourselves. And the Democrats, of course, are threatening to do it in California and New York. But if they could, there would have been no reason for the Democrats to run from the state of Texas. That would have made absolutely no sense. So why did they run? What possible reason could they have had to run to Illinois from the state of Texas? I mean, after all, if you can gerrymander, just answer the gerrymandering in California, answer the gerrymandering in New York, 5 seats, okay, we're going to add 5 seats in California, and away we go. It would have made no sense to run. Oh, wait a minute. There's a reason why. You see, Texas and most Republican states, they're gerrymandered a little bit, but just a little bit. The Republicans in the state of Texas alone could easily gerrymander out 15 to 20 Democrat seats, making the 14 that Illinois did look like child's play. Then you've got Ohio, you've got Florida, you've got Oklahoma, you've got all the states through the Mid-South, you have got all the states in the Midwest, and really in the kind of almost that kind of in between the Midwest and Pacific Northeast, the Dakotas, Montana. They don't have a lot, and they tend to be all Republicans, but they could probably squeeze out between all of them another 3-4 seats of Democrats. We could end up with 30 or 40 Democrats in hot water. Are they all going to lose their seats? No, not necessarily. That's another conversation about, they still, even if Texas redistricts, that doesn't guarantee that the Democrats don't win those seats. It just means they have to compete on a tougher battlefield. There you go. You see, it doesn't necessarily mean that the Democrats will win those seats. It just means that they'll have to compete on what is a little less friendly battleground for them. So all those people are telling you, well, gerrymandering means these Democrats are automatically out of the House. That's not true. Now, it may make it harder for them, but it's not true. Jasmine Crockett will not be marched out of Congress because her district disappears. She'll be assigned to the district that she lives in as the representative of that district for now, and in the next election she'll have to prove to the people and the constituents of that district that she is the one they want to continue to represent them. So, as I said, the Democrats can't do anything drama-free. It's just not possible. Everything has to come with high-stakes drama and be all kinds of, cacophonic in every possible way. And so, in that vein, what we end up with is the Democrats coming back and then making a big show of things. Now, did the Republicans help? No. And I'm going to get into that. What happened when they got back is that the Republicans assigned them a police escort to make sure that they don't leave the state again. Was that over dramatic? Maybe. I mean, they did come back on their own. But not really. It's intended to show the public that no one, including the Democrats, are above the law. It's politics, folks. You can't be surprised by any of this. The Democrats would have done the same thing if the shoe was on the other foot. So before you go throwing stones, just realize your guys would have done the same thing. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it not silly, but it is what it is. So, what do the Democrats do? Well, what we find from Fox News is that a Texas Democrat lawmaker spent the night on the floor of the Capitol building. Yes, folks, you heard me right. She refused the Republican police escort that was necessary to leave the building so she could go home and stay in a hotel or stay at her house or whatever else. And instead, she decides to stay in the Capitol building, and not just in the Capitol building, but she stays on the House floor and sleeps on the House floor. That was a choice. That was a choice. As you can see here, her name is Representative Nicole Collier. And guys, I don't know what to tell you other than this is far from the last thing you're going to see. This is just yet another step. Okay, you have them getting up in front of cameras in Illinois. You have them talking about, oh, this is a threat to democracy. Well, wait a minute. If this is a threat to democracy, how is it not a threat to democracy when you were gerrymandering all these other states? Here's an interesting thing for you. Texas is drawing these new districts, 5 new districts. One will stay pretty much with the demographics that it is, and it voted for Trump. 4 will change. They will still be, 1 will become, and 3 will still be predominantly Hispanic. However, those districts, the way that they're being drawn, all voted for Trump in the last election. So now you can't say we're amplifying minority voices by electing Democrats. Now we could say we're amplifying minority voices by putting in Republicans because they voted for Trump. But you see, that doesn't work because their whole argument is based on the assumption that you have to accept that says only Democrats represent minorities. Never mind Brexit, never mind all these other things, never mind the record number of Hispanics that voted for Trump. None of that matters. None of it matters at all. Only Democrats represent. these people. Folks, I don't know what to tell you with that. That faulty premise is something you cannot accept. If you want to argue with these people, if you want to work with these people, help them to see the truth, you cannot accept that premise. You have to fight at the premise. You can't argue the results, because that's where you're going to lose. They're going to twist it up and make it all emotional, whatever else. You have to argue at the premise, which is your entire premise is wrong. You don't amplify minority voices by voting in Democrats. You amplify minority voices by drawing straight districts, not gerrymandered districts, and allowing the minorities within those districts to have a voice. And you make sure that the population numbers match, so that there is an even balance all the way across, and everyone's voice counts. Everyone's voice counts. You either stop the gerrymandering all the way across the board, everywhere, or everyone's going to participate in this. And right now, the Democrats are reeling because they understand the truth that you may not. The Republicans are the ones who haven't done it yet. And the number of seats that the Republicans can wring out of the House could lock the Democrats out, ensuring the Republicans keep the House, not just in the next election, but probably for the next 3 to 5 elections, at least. Guys, it's funny. The Democrats love to play these games, but they hate it when they're played against them. Hypocrisy is an ugly thing, and watching it happen, it's even uglier. Anyway, I hope I gave you some ammunition to use as you're chatting with your friends. Remember, it's fair when both sides do it, or it's not fair when both sides do it, but it can't be fair for one and not fair for the other. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day. God bless.